I would like to bring our Muslim members to pray down together with me, and for those our non-Muslim members, you can pray by your own style. We start with Al-Fatiha. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafi'u mazidah. Ya rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhika wa 'azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad salatan tunjina biha min jami'il ahwal wal afat wa taqbilana biha min jami'il hajat wa tutahhirna biha min jami'is sayyi'at wa tarfa'na biha indaka 'ala darajat wa tuballighuna biha aqsa maghfirati min jami'il khairat fil hayati wal mamat. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, permudahkanlah urusan kami pada hari ini. Jadikanlah majlis pada hari ini adalah majlis ilmu di mana kami semua mendapat manfaat dan beroleh keberkatan di dunia dan juga di akhirat. Jadilah kami pekerja yang terbaik di universiti yang bertuah ini. Jadilah kami seorang pekerja yang berdedikasi, berintegriti dan beramanah. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Wassallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabbihi wa barik wasallam. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abdul Kamis. Just to highlight to everyone, with us today are Associate Professor Dr. Faza Akhtar Hanafiah, the Dean of Faculty of Medicine, UiTM, Dr. Nur Farida Ahmad Ruslan, Head of Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, Hospital Al-Sultan Abdullah, UiTM, and Faculty of Medicine, UiTM, who also served as Chairman of this joint research visit, and Dr. Kim Dong-Soo, Director of Dehan Rehabilitation Hospital Putrajaya. Thank you for supporting us in this forum and the joint visit. And for the interest of all audience, this forum is organized in conjunction with our research collaboration with the Korean Angel Robotics and Dehan Rehab Hospital, which MOU has been established recently. And to our Korean colleagues, Ngopi, which means coffee talk or coffee drinking or coffee. It means, so there you go, let's coffee talk with the Koreans. And that's how we put our posters, Ngopi with the Korean. So that's actually a Malay word, Ngopi. And thank you so much to Richiamu Coffee for sponsoring coffee for us today. And also to highlight to our speakers, the audience that we have today are lecturers and researchers from various faculties and colleges within UiTM. And also lecturers and researchers from other universities in Selangor and in Malaysia, rehabilitation providers from private rehab centers, and also industrial colleagues and partners. And to all participants and guests, you are welcome to get your coffee. It's served by Ricardo throughout our forum session. Alright, without further hesitation, let's begin our forum. I would like to introduce our two moderators this morning. First one would be Associate Professor Dr. Faza Akhtar Hanafiah, the Dean of Faculty of Medicine. And Dr. Faza also is the lead investigator from UiTM side for this research collaboration. And the second one is Professor Dr. Diok Yong Kim. He is from the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, Yonsei University, College of Medicine, Seoul, Republic of Korea. And our forum title this morning is Robotic Technology in Rehabilitation. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our moderators to take over the session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Najwa. Welcome everyone to the forum that we have organized this morning. Some familiar faces and some new faces, and a lot of faces I hope also watching us virtually on YouTube Live. So I would like to introduce two of our panelists, and how we will be conducting this forum this morning is that the panelists will give around 10 to 15 minutes presentation, each, and then we will all come up to the front after all 4 panelists have completed giving their presentation. Right? So I will introduce our Korean counterparts, our brothers from Korea, and Professor Kim will introduce the Malaysian brothers and sisters. So this is truly an exchange of international partnership and collaboration. So I start off with introducing Professor Dr. Dong Woon Ra. So Professor Ra is the professor in the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation from Severance Hospital, Yonsei, University College of Medicine, Seoul in Korea. He has a lot of experience in rehabilitation and also the Vice President of Angel Robotics. So we are very proud to have him here this morning. Before you give your talk, Prof. Ra, I would also like to introduce Professor Dr. Tae Woo Kim, one of our youngest professors to come and visit us here in Malaysia. He is a clinical professor and also medical director since 2019 to present at the National Traffic Injury Rehabilitation Hospital, Korea. So you just imagine, we have a specialized rehabilitation hospital called the National Traffic Injury Rehabilitation Hospital. So we hope we will listen to the experiences this morning and have this network collaboration to which we would like to see the development of rehabilitation in Malaysia to follow suit of what the Koreans have achieved in the last 40 to 50 years. So I pass the microphone to Professor Kim.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here on behalf of Korean side colleagues. I introduced the Malaysian side two speakers. One first speaker is Dr. Matiana Mohamed Hansen. She is the rehabilitation medicine physician in these hospitals and work as a senior lecturer in Faculty of Medicine, this university, and she is very active doing clinical research in robotic therapy. Another speaker is Dr. Ngopi Ismail. He is a senior lecturer in the Department of Electrical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering, UiTM, and he was also the doctoral researcher, and he interested in the artificial intelligence and robotic laboratories and the Grand University in Belgium. Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for the nice introduction from Dr. Faja. Yeah, well, my name is Dong Ra. Ra is my family name. Well, thank you very much for giving me a chance to present at this excellent meeting. Yeah, I'm working at Severance Rehabilitation Hospital, affiliated with Yonsei University College of Medicine in Seoul, Korea. Clinically, I'm specialized in pediatric rehabilitation, but my research interests are in human biomechanics and assistive technologies, especially the robotic rehabilitation. So that's why I co-founded Angel Robotics company in 2017, which is a company that specialized in developing wearable exoskeletal robot. So today I will talk about wearable exoskeletal robot for gait training. So the name of our product is Angela. So, now, yeah. Robotic rehabilitation is a leading edge technology in rehabilitation as known. Take a look at this PubMed search using two keywords, robot and rehabilitation. You can see the number of studies started to increase in about 2004, and recently is skyrocketing up to over 150 papers annually. Well, using robot-assisted vertical gait training, we can provide optimal, task-specific, goal-oriented, and very intense motor training, and expect motor and non-motor recovery, which would ultimately lead to more independent lives in operation. These videos are what we can see usually in your and our rehabilitation centers. This one-to-one therapy by therapists, there's a limitation to provide task-specific and intensive training during very limited time. Right? So, well, it is known that intensive, repetitive gait training is more effective for recovery of function. The left-sided video shows partial weight-bearing treadmill training. Body weight is partially supported by harness system, and one therapist hold the patient's waist and shift the weight to left and right, and two more therapists hold each legs and making a motion using their own hands. These kinds of gait training showed better therapeutic impact in previous research articles, but it is definitely impractical for a common rehabilitation practice because it requires substantial amount of labor by therapists. Right? So, robot-assisted gait training can provide this kind of task-specific, intensive, repetitive gait training using robotic technologies without fatigue. Well, generally, for optimal motor practice, the level of difficulty in gait training is very important. So it should be challenging, but not disappointing. Not disappointing means should be possible with effort. Should not be impossible. Right? So therefore, actuating mechanism and training environments of robot-assisted gait training, now I call it RAGT, should be specifically programmed to accommodate varying degree of disability of each people. So, one robot for all patients with various degree of impairment is impossible, I think. So, as you know, we have stabilized strategy to strengthen the paralyzed muscle, improve the range of motion, such as both passive and active assistive, and active resistive exercise. We can apply the RAGT with similar strategy. So especially for the patient with gait impairment caused by incomplete paralysis of low extremity, we can expect optimal motor learning when we can provide active assistive exercise during gait training, not a passive exercise. So in this aspect, we can apply the tactile robot, which can provide body weight support and passive movement of low extremity for the patients with severe impairments, especially during acute phase. However, according to the functional recovery, we should provide more challenging gait training. For this, overground gait training using wearable exoskeletal robot, like Angela's we made, is essential for better motor recovery, I think. So this is an Angelex Medical which we developed for hospital-based RGT. Angelex Medical provides a joint torque assist when it is needed, not a passive movement of the leg, during overground gait for patients with incomplete paralysis. Well, this is a robotic rehabilitation center in Severance Rehabilitation Hospital, where I work. We have various kinds of rehabilitation robots for patients with various functional impairments level, from severely impaired non-ambulatory persons to disabled but ambulatory persons. And I hope you can have a chance to visit them. And these gait training robots are digital devices, so they also can assess the function of the patients more quantitatively and sensorily. With this digital data from robot, we can expect that we will be able to monitor the patient function more quantitatively, analyze the data from them, and we can provide more precise rehabilitation for optimal recovery in the future. So we are planning to make the system to gather the data from the robot. Well, let me show some cases who experienced the effects of RHT with Angelex Medical. The first case is a boy with hemiplegia caused by cerebral infarction. He got robot-assisted gait training just 2 months after onset of occupational rehabilitation to promote neuroplasticity. Well, in this video, you can see a steep knee gait on left affected side. So, well, yeah, you're very familiar with steep knee gait. So, which means decreased knee flexion during swing phase, right? This is a typical abnormal gait pattern showing in spastic hemiplegia. This is the, well, yeah, this is the conventional gait training to correct this abnormal gait pattern during the life. However, well, if used this torque assist well-over accessible robot, steep knee gait pattern was resolved with knee flexion torque assist by Angelex, not only on the level floor but also staircase. And we could have intensive gait training during normal speed working with more natural knee flexion during swing phase. So better functional outcome is expected with this kind of intensive gait training in push-shape. Well, the second case is 13-year-old boy. He is a boy with spastic cerebral palsy. GMFCS 3 level. Some of you are familiar with this. So which means that he can only walk with handheld mobility device in most indoor setting. So he undertook the orthopedic surgery to correct the crouch deformity in 2014. After that, he has received post-op rehabilitation, intensive rehabilitation training to improve gait function. But, however, even after surgery and post-op rehabilitation, he could walk slowly using bilateral crutches, showing poor balance control ability. However, well, with this well-over accessible robot, Angelex, he could experience much faster working and could learn how to control balance and how to move his legs to walk in this more natural speed, more faster speed. And After that, this is the comparison of gait function assessment between before RAGT and after 17 sessions of RAGT. He could walk much faster and more easily after training. Well, the study from our institution reported that in 17 children with static brain injury, well, after RAGT with angel legs, gross motor function was improved, and a 60-minute walk test reflecting gait endurance and L capacity showed much improvement of walking distance. So, well, now we are working on a randomized control study in cerebral palsy children. We don't have the result yet, but I hope we can show the result in as soon as possible. I think it will be next year. Then, well, yeah. Now wrapping up my short presentation. In the era of robotic rehabilitation, rehabilitation professionals still have plenty of work to do. We need to optimize the effect of robotic rehabilitation. So we have to decide compatibility of patients for robotic rehabilitation, whether they are proper candidate for robotic rehabilitation or not. Choose proper robot for patients considering their various severity of disability, and optimize assist algorithm of robot to improve the therapeutic effects in specific patient. And well, we have to train patient for embodiment of this RAGT, and have to assess whether RAGT was effective or not for that patient. So I think this kind of things will be the new roles of rehabilitation professionals in the future. Okay, yeah, I talk about wearable robot in rehabilitation medicine for gait training. We, the Angel Robotics companies, are working very hard to realize our model, robotics for better life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Brown. We'll reserve the questions during the panel session. I would like to invite Professor Dr. Tim Kim to give his introduction. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of you for inviting here and warm welcome. And it's an honor and a real pleasure for me to have the opportunity of speaking on this forum. I've prepared a brief presentation for this forum. I think it would be good to use it as a basis for later discussion. And before the presentation, I think it would be good to briefly introduce the organization I work for. Would it be okay to introduce my institute with a 5-minute video clip? Thank you.
그리고 지금 저는 휠체어 댄스 스포츠 선수입니다. 날 다시 꿈꾸게 만드는 곳. 국립교통재활병원을 지금부터 소개해드립니다. 국토교통부가 설립하고 서울대학교 병원이 운영해 믿을 수 있는 국립교통재활병원. 교통사고 후유 장애인과 재활이 필요한 환자라면 누구나 국립교통재활병원에서 대한민국 최고의 전문 재활치료를 받을 수 있습니다. 서울대학교 병원의 의료기술이 더해진 국립교통재활병원은 4개의 장애 유형별 재활진료센터를 갖추고 환자 상태에 따라 전문적이고 최적화된 진료를 제공합니다. 뇌손상 환자의 치료와 후유증 최소화를 위한 뇌손상 재활센터, 사지마비, 하지마비 등 척수를 다친 환자의 일상회복을 위한 척수손상 재활센터, 골절, 인대 및 근육 손상, 절단 등 각종 근골격 손상 환자의 통증 관리와 회복을 위한 근골격 재활센터, 그리고 성장기 발달과 정서적 안정까지 고려한 소아재활치료센터까지. 각 센터의 전담 치료 제도를 통해 1:1 집중 재활치료를 진행합니다. 서울대학교 병원과의 유기적인 협력 진료를 통해 물산 후 급성기 치료에서 재활까지 논스톱으로 빠르게 연결되어 치료 효과를 극대화합니다. 또 이비인후과, 내과, 비뇨의학과, 안과, 정신건강의학과 등을 통해 치료기간 중 합병증 관리와 응급전원까지 대비할 수 있어 편리하고 든든합니다. 국립교통재활병원은 치료를 담당하는 모든 의료진이 함께하는 팀 컨퍼런스, 환자, 가족, 의료진이 함께하는 패밀리 컨퍼런스 등을 통해 치료에 대한 고민과 소통으로 심리적 재활까지 지원합니다. 국립교통재활병원은 로봇치료, 수중치료 등과 같은 특수치료, 치료 같은 공간에서 환자와 가족이 함께 머물며 퇴원 후에 평범한 일상생활을 연습할 수 있는 제가적인 훈련까지 전문적이고 다양한 치료를 통해 최대의 기능력과 일상으로의 빠른復帰를 가능하게 합니다. 국립교통재활병원은 미래의 재활치료의 표준을 현실에서 가장 먼저 만날 수 있는 곳입니다. 옷처럼 입을 수 있는 웨어러블 로봇을 비롯한 첨단 재활 로봇 연구, 내비게이션 시스템을 이용한 경북의 자기자극 신경치료, AI, 뇌컴퓨터 인터페이스 등 서울대학교 병원과 함께 끊임없는 연구와 교육으로 재활치료의 미래를 열어갑니다. 다시 젓가락질을 하고, 다시 운전을 하고, 다시 걷기를 하고, 다시 평범한 일상으로 돌아갈 수 있게 해준 국립교통재활병원. 다시 새로운 꿈을 꾸며 저는 오늘도 춤을 춥니다. 환자의 평범한 일상을 위해 재활치료의 표준을 만들어 나가는 국립교통재활병원. 당신의 삶은 지금부터 시작입니다.
Yeah, thank you. What I'd like to talk about today is current and future trends in wearable robot assist gait for elderly. For the current clinical application of wearable robotic exoskeleton, I made a simple bibliographic search with these terms in PubMed database. With 56 articles, we can verify once again that numerous models of wearable robots for lower limbs are being used for the various indications in clinical practice. But the clinical application of these devices can be classified into two distinct purposes: for gait therapy and to assist gait. In other words, the first purpose of these wearable robots is to use it as an assistive device for the patients with disability. And the second is to use it as a medical therapeutic device for functional restoration of gait. When searching for the clinical trial protocols to predict the future trends, I found 47 trials from the clinicaltrials.gov registry, and 24 trials are active. In 32 trials, they are using wearable robots as a medical therapeutic device to restore the gait function. In 9 trials, wearable robots are being used to assist gait. Categorization by equipment and indication is in this table. From its traditional role as an assistive device for the people with disabilities, many powered exoskeletal devices are trying to verify its potential as a medical therapeutic device, especially in CNS patients. And the spectrum of indication is expanding from Parkinson's disease to COPD, heart failure, neonatal, and person with Fragile. This is Korean domestic clinical trials approved by Korean FDA, and 11 clinical trials have been conducted. And we are currently conducting an international multi-center clinical trial using Angel-X with Dr. Faja of UiTM. In Korea, in aspect of wearable devices, there has been two distinct permission processes for assistive devices and medical devices. Traditionally, classic orthosis and prosthesis have been classified as just an assistive device. However, with powered exoskeletons, this classification system cannot guarantee the user's safety. So, after about 10 years of confusion and chaos, the powered exoskeletons are no longer classified as assistive devices, but as medical devices. So they need Class 2 or Class 3 medical item permission from KFDI. For example, in US, wearable robots are classified under FDA code of Federal Regulation 21 Part 890, physical medicine devices. It can be sorted to Class 1 or Class 2, and exoskeletal device has a code of PHL. The wearable rehab robots can have an FDA permission as a neuromodulation and physical medicine devices, Class 2, 510K. In US, 16 models have been approved from Rework in 2014. This table is also publicly available on the FDA websites. In EU, from MDD, Medical Device Directive, to a more strengthened MDR regulation came into effect from 2021. Wearable powered exoskeleton is generally sorted to MedDev Active Device Class 2. As you know, HAR from Cyberdyne obtained the ISO certification and CE marking in 2014. Since then, several powered exoskeletons have certified with CE mark. And EU has not single integrated medical device database like US FDA, so they are preparing UDAMED as an integrated medical device database in EU region. There are various types of powered exoskeletons for the lower limbs. Originally, they have based on the platform, also known as tether type or treadmill type. And there also is overground type based on crutches. Then recently, a couple of devices are having self-balancing design. Each type of powered exoskeleton has its own distinct characteristics. This type of gait assist robotic device, such as Locomat or Hokoma, has been mainly used for gait rehabilitation to restore the gait function for the patients who cannot walk independently. On the other side, this is a classic overground type powered exoskeletal device. This type of device has been generally used to assist gait of paraplegic patients with spinal cord injury. In addition, it is expanding its role not only as a therapeutic device, but also as a walking aid for the elderly. This self-balancing model is novel in that it allows both upper limbs free and can protect the patient from incidental force and excessive energy consumption. But so far, these kinds of robots are too slow and too much bulky to be used in daily activities. As you know, numerous types of rehabilitation exoskeletons for the lower limbs have been developed. Usually, they have 2 active joints, but some devices are lighter with 1 joint, and others have even 3 active joints. Since 2008, starting with Cyberdyne's HAR, clinical researches with various exoskeletons have been explosively conducted, but the number of accumulated studies for subjects is not yet sufficient. It is well known that increasing age is associated with decline in sensory and motor systems and reduced ability to adapt to changes. Consequently, this makes decreased gait efficiency and step. If Korea and Malaysia cooperate with each other, I think the bright future is getting closer. I am convinced that this forum will serve as a stepping stone. I have talked about the overview and the trend of robotic exoskeleton and things to consider in order to improve the exoskeleton device as a daily equipment for the elderly and the weak. It might be a primitive and boring talk, but I thank you for your time listening. Thank you.
efficient hospital. And if we are lucky enough, we're going to have the first robotic center by SOCSO by 2024 in Ipoh. So I think that's a very good progressive thing that we have in Malaysia. So this actually just depicts the level 4 rehabilitation standalone hospital that we have in Malaysia. And of course, it was run by one of the UiTM hospital under MOH. We have SOCSO Rehabilitation Center in Malacca. They were well equipped with robotics from all around the world. So of course, the standalone hospitals, private, in region, and Dehan. So coming again to these questions, where are we in the robotics application in Malaysia? Do we really integrate such as good example of Korea? Yeah, we might not do that great, but we do. So this actually just to depict the robotic that we have in Malaysia. Of course, in Kuala Lumpur, we have several centers. We have exoskeleton gait trainer, we have Locomat, we have Amyo Boom for upper limbs. Then we have in Putrajaya, of course, Dehan, and of course the new addition towards Dehan is actually the Angel Robotics. I think there's a great progress in there. Of course, in Selangor, we have Yusti Tamajimara, we have Rubia for the upper limb, region. Of course, they have their exoskeleton robotic leg and Locomat. And even in Kelantan, they have the Cyberdyne, with their partnership with SOCSO, and hopefully in UiTM, we're going to have Cyberdyne also. And of course, SOCSO Rehabilitation Center, we can see a lot of, and there's a new addition to that, which we are not updating. Okay, to that list, of course we have, I think we have. Okay, so how about any robotics R&D in Malaysia? Do we really innovate debate? That's why we have forum here to debate about that. But I just have enlightened you for several facts. So Malaysia's Malaysian healthcare system is heavily subsidized by the government, and we have private sector that is actually patients paying from their pocket money and their insurance. However, the public health sector serves 65% of the population in Malaysia, but only 45% of registered doctors, healthcare professionals, and even nurses to serve at the public sector. The remaining in the private. So we can see from this number, we are very limited in terms of how we want to serve our patients, our healthcare system, let alone speaking about rehab. So this is actually a report from Malaysian Burden of Disease and Injury Study from 2009-2014. And we can see here, as the figure that we can see, the road traffic injuries has placed the second main cause of disability, followed by stroke. And we know these two main causes actually cause disability. And even in the Department of Social Welfare in 2014 has recorded about 450,000 people with disability, and 35.2% actually come up with physical impairment. So the question is, coming again to the facts and figure, there is a need of services, of course, to improve, to assist recovery, to improve function, and at the end of the day, to improve quality of life. But the main fundamental question is, do we have the capacity actually to meet this demand? Do we have the facility to actually address this all? And of course, to actually support this notion, so this actually paper that actually was written by our colleague, very senior colleague, has described that even in our basic facilities, this modern government is deprived of basic rehabilitation services. However, of course, the more advanced technology, it was in tertiary hospital. But again, not all tertiary hospital is provided with rehabilitation services. So to date, we only got 100 plus rehabilitation physicians to serve about 3 million disabled population. Can you see there's a dire need of rehabilitation service to provide the quality, to ensure effectiveness. So again, from these numbers we can see, in a nutshell, there's an inadequacy of access to healthcare. Hence, this actually leads to deprivations of to provide frequency and intensity towards our patients. However, then comes to this question: does the robotics intervention really solve this problem? Does robotic intervention has a market in our population? Of course, no-brainer, we should yes. But the matter is, it's not should or should not. But the real question is how we want to do it. So really, to talk about it, we have to really talk about 5 factors of accessibility to healthcare, which I'm going to really delve a little bit about it. So appropriateness and affordability. Of course, when we talk about good accessibility to healthcare, we cannot run away by talking about appropriateness and affordability. But however, to answer this kind of question, we must have a cost benefit and cost effective analysis, because this is actually a paper that described in order to have a good policy maker to justify our healthcare intervention that should be value for money, we have to have a crude data to support this. And of course, being Malaysian, we have to be progressive, but still the data is still lacking in terms of rehabilitation. We have to see in what perspective. Is cost analysis perspective, or it should be looked into cost benefit. Okay, it's also a matter of debate. Approachability, how we want to really approach robotic intervention. If we want to integrate, how? So this is Mr. Zanko. Mr. Zanko is the co-founder of Uri Intelligence and recently has been appointed as the president of ISAT. ISAT is the International Industry Society in Advanced Rehabilitation Technology. So in this report, he actually has said that robotic should be directed into comprehensive intervention, but it should be in the home use of robots. Okay, because at the end of the day, we want and increase the accessibility. However, to answer this is not really a straightforward answer to this, because we are struggling with acceptability and appropriateness. When we talk about acceptability and appropriateness, I would like the audience to come to the definitions of robot. So robot is actually an actuated mechanism programmable in two or more axes with a degree of autonomy, moving with its environment to perform intended tasks. So I would like to highlight the degree of autonomy. So when we talk about degree of autonomy, we have to actually understand the degree of autonomy means that we allow the machine to do decision making for us, to replace the clinician in terms of selection, what kind of therapy that they want to do. So do we allow that? There's a question of ethics here. Okay, of course, robotics is intended to be innovated to adjunct, to supplement human works, or even at the same point we have to replace. But if you want to give this degree of autonomy towards a machine, does it really, I would say, it actually has the problem of ethical issue here. So again, there's a lot of to think about. So again, looking at all into the factors, I would say that actually robotics have to be concentrated in the AI algorithm. So actually AI actually can focus, can address all these problems. Actually it can actually provide the framework how we want to select our participants selections. Which patient actually reach robust data that is relevant. So how do you want to relevant? Of course, it needs the clinician to be part of the innovations of the robots. So coming to this, so we are okay. So this is actually a WHO compendium in 2019, which actually is a compendium currently because it's COVID-19. There's a lot of medical device coming into the market to help with managing COVID. So this is actually they come up with a compendium to really assess the suitability of the medical device to be integrated into clinical practice. So I just want to highlight how the characteristics of what actually they see in the medical device. Again, it's always affordability. Talking about robots, we are struggling about the cost. But cost is not everything. We have to think beyond that. Because sometimes it can be less cost effective, but it can have a very good cost benefit ratio. But it's indeed yet to be proof. Okay. So of course we have to take into account infrastructure requirement, the local access to technical support, local access to spare part. I do think that we should be the manufacturer of the robot. That's what we do best. Malaysia manufacture. Just like that car, we do for Santri, we do for Toyota. So I think that is actually a good avenue for us, a good market to have that into Malaysia, so we can reduce the price instead of innovating a new robot. So where's the Malaysian direction to R&D? What are we heading? I will still our effort to direct it to core robotic domains. In my personal opinion, we should. It's cost effectively. If you talk about that, I think we should gear more to adjacent technologies development compared to core robotic domains. As you can see, Professor Ra actually has enlightened that actually the robotic technology is about 20 years of age, and we just started, and how we want to compete with that. So I think it's not cost effective thing to do. So of course we have to focus on adjacent technology, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning. And what actually is very important to have a good clinical trials in Malaysia or even in the whole world, because robots have to fit the local population. We have local characteristics that we have to really address, and this actually indirectly contribute to the more refined core robotic domains and even the adjacent technologies. So I end up with my presentation. I love this slide. If you don't remember, you remember the slide. Aviation, now everybody can fly. Last time, 20 years ago, airplane is very expensive. My first airplane travel when I was 19 years old, and that was funded by GPA. But now with Asia, currently in the picture, everybody can fly. So, can we do that? Okay? So, nature actually has predicted that 2014, everybody should have robots. Everybody should know robots. But however, Shopee has preceded it. You know Shopee? Yes. So Shopee, see, if you see, you really dive into Lazada or even Shopee, you can see there is a robotic market in the Shopee. As low as 699. It's about affordable. Is it good progress? It's a matter of debate. Okay? So it's a matter of debate. It's no right and wrong about that. So again, maybe one day we can associate with Shopee. We don't know. It's like 20 years down the line. Okay? So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the interesting talk. Next speaker is Dr. Ismail. He talk about robot technology and rehabilitation. Dr. Ismail, please.
Okay, hello. Oh, very energetic talk by Dr. Nazira, and very, it's, I think it's an honor for me to be in my alma mater. I was a mechanical engineer trained in UiTM. Before I start my talk, like a short presentation today, may I know how many of you is in engineering background? None. Right, and yet the topic is robotics, technology, so it's good, right? So I assume that majority of you are medical and health sciences, yeah? So, okay, so my name is Lutfi Ismail. I graduated my PhD in Ghent University in Belgium, but today I'm very honored to meet the Koreans. So we are a bit international, like trained in Belgium, worked in Malaysia, and now meeting new Korean friends. So distinguished professors and audience. Today I will be talking on robotic technology in rehabilitation, and thank you AP Dr. Faza for inviting me. She's my seafood. Okay. Right. Okay. Oh, this is not a mirror. Okay, so today I will be focusing on 3 pillars. So it's good to see that medical doctor can talk on machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics. So that is very impressive, and yet I'm teaching machine learning and artificial intelligence. So, but today, don't worry, I'm not going to give a lecture here, but I'll be more on sharing on robot improvements, robot interventions, and automation exploration. Like Dr. Najera said, we are not here to chase 20 years of technologies. So I always believe in, we don't reinvent the hot water, but we make a good coffee from hot waters, right? So thank you for the coffee shop today that sponsored our events. Yeah? So there's always some possibilities that we can contribute in terms of robots improvement, robot interventions, and automation exploration. So when you go out from these halls, you should know these 3 pillars in your heads. Yeah? So I'll make my presentation simple, but hopefully it's meaningful for every one of us. Okay, so in terms of robot improvement, so maybe I can share some of my HRI study, like human-robot interaction study. So I'll be focusing more on cognitive, because Rehab is also, we want to help children with diagnosed with cognitive impairment, children with cerebral palsy. Sometimes the task is very simple for us, but it's very impactful for them. For example, joint attention. So it's very simple for typical developed children to follow commands, but and then you see on the key-point robots is developed in Japan. It's also to engage social communication skills between children and robots. Because I believe that many of you see patients like if you put a therapist in front of the children, they cannot last for 10 seconds. But if you put a robot in front of the children with cognitive impairments, they will be there more than 10 seconds. That is a simple task, but very impactful. So that is my PhD studies. We design a simple design robot, but it's very impactful, and the robot can do features like smiling, mad, and so on. But some people say that the robot is creepy, but we are based on superhero, you know. Superman is also creepy if he's sitting here. But you see, that's how Superman engage with the children. So that is a superhero character. So we also work with art schools in Belgium, where they help us to design the robots, clothes for these robots. And this is cheap. You are talking about very expensive machines and very innovative and high-end machines, but that is good. It can be expensive for us, but for a government, I think it's not very expensive. And robotics is, in fact, it requires high capital, initial capitals, but it's really help you in repetitive tasks. So long term, you invest, for example, like Angel Robotics, they are super awesome, but I believe the high initial cost is a bit high, but it's not high for a government to spend. So for the people, right? So for individual, I don't think everyone will buy and put in their house, right? So okay. Okay, so maybe I share a video on the cognitive. So robot intervention. What I mean here is like during the intervention program between child-robot interactions, so we need to tailor-make the interaction modules. So based on the requirement from the children, so you develop modules that can assist the children. Okay, so here is like, so actually the child asks the robot, did you hate to eat metal broccoli? So you see, that's how the child relates. He said, maybe he relates with his life, elicits what is the good things in the patients, that how you can amplify their capacity to be good in their social communication skills, in the learning environment. So I think simple things but very impactful. Okay. All right, and then so coming to the AI machine learning, and then we collect the data from the human-robot interaction. So actually we adapted neural networks developed from MIT. You see, they even have a research on when you first unlock your phones, where is your eye on the apps? So that is a very powerful apps for the eye contacts. So I think that's how they sell the apps. But here, we can leverage these techniques on how can we help the children to have a good eye contact by building a human-robot interaction eye contact classifier which leverage machine learning and deep learning techniques. So this is from data to diagnosis, and then from the diagnosis to the decision making. As Dr. Natera said, we want to help. We don't want to replace you. We don't want to replace medical officers. It's like female revolutions in somewhere in France, I think. But this is more to help you to amplify your capacity to help more patients and to make you less fatigued, in your daily, because you make like, I think in Korea, how many patients do you meet? I think in Malaysia, they meet like more than 50. Some of them meet 100 patients every day. So fatigue is one of the issues here. Yeah? I'm a mechanical engineer, I don't really know about the medical, but I always heard that the medical doctors complaints, they are very busy, they see a lot of patients. Yeah? So robotics technology here, I believe, it's not to replace human, but rather to amplify your capacity to help more patients. Right? Okay, we are using AI also. We try to help surgeons in KPJ Damansara, especially new surgeons on giving more confidence when they do the surgery. So we also leverage AI modules. Yeah? So in conventional method, they use ICG segmented to detect liver, but we use AI segmentation to detect section of liver. Yeah? So this is just to provide some overview or perspective on how we can work together, engineers and doctors. Yeah? Unfortunately, I'm the only one engineer here. Online, okay, I hope to see my students online from KU and UiTM. Yeah? So that's all for today. We can talk on robot improvement, we can talk on robot intervention, and how we can automate things. Alright? So with that, thank you. So this is my profile, and this is my medical and engineering team. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you for a very interesting talk. Please talk about common trips.
Can we invite all the panelists to the front and also our moderator?
This situation is not formula in Korea.
Is it something new? The format of talking at the front? Yeah? Okay, Alhamdulillah, thank you very much to all our 4 panelists that gave a lot of food of thoughts and to think about. I'm sure there's a lot of questions from the audience. So this is where we will conduct the forum of Q&A. You can ask any questions to any of the 4 panelists. Have we got any questions from anyone that would like to ask? Yes, Miss Shelby. Give you the microphone.
I think suara aku quite good. Hi, good morning, thank you. I just want to know the angel legs, how long it's been used, what is the cases mostly been seen, and what kind of improvement? How long they use before you see kind of improvements?
Give to Prof. Raf.
Well, actually, I co-founded the company in 2017, 5 years ago, and we commercialized the Angelex Medical, we call it, on 2020, late 2020. We started to test in several rehabilitation hospital where I work, and at this point, more than 20 hospitals in Korea now are using the Angelex Medical. And, well, as I told you, I'm a pediatric rehabilitation specialist, so I have much experience in children with cerebral palsy. So yeah, well, I showed you just some cases of cerebral palsy. Well, yeah, well, we can see the gait pattern and gait endurance and general gross motor functions got improved after robotic gait training. So now we are, doing the, well, as I told you, randomized control trial for sick children. And also we are using it for patients with stroke, because Androlex Medical can control the assisting total level differently at each leg, so we can apply it for the hemiplegic patient. And yeah, well, surely we can apply it to the spinal cord injury with incomplete paralysis, etc.
Because commonly when we are using the robotic, the first question they'll ask is, how soon I want to see an X-ray? Of course, we always say we have to go on. But is there any limitations when you're doing this robotic? Is there anything which causes a limitation? Of course, I know there's contraindication and all that, but sometimes patients get anxiety, so...
Well, I just talk about a product, wearable exoskeletal robot, which assists the overground gait. So, well, wearable exoskeletal robot currently at this point cannot control the balance by itself, so it has well, risk of falling, and also, well, for gait training, well, the control of trunk balance and shifting the weight are very important for gait training, right? So, but we experienced that, well, just by torque assist for low extremity, we can control the trunk balance when shifting, something like this. So I didn't show you at my presentation. So we developed some kinds of moving harness system, which is not only support the weight, it control the pelvic movement and trunk movement. So, well, it is very helpful for overground gait training in more good shape, and also reduce the risk of falling, like that. So, yeah, well, I hope I can show you the kind of products. Yeah.
So following on to that, Professor Dr. Ra, you mentioned in your talk that there were some compatibility factors to the robot. Compatibility. From your experience, what is the biggest compatible factor? If you had to name one, what would that be? Compatible factor.
You mean,
to use the exoskeleton patients factor that can use the exoskeleton.
Well, as I mentioned, there are many, patients, we have to approach it, very different aspects. So, well, some patients we have to just assist the movement of the paralyzed limbs, and some patients we have to just assist as needed. So, well, yes, but I think where professionals should assess the patient correctly and determine which kind of therapy, including robotic therapy and other conventional therapy or other therapy with other devices. The guidance of with professionals are very important, I think. Yeah.
So there's no one answer to that. Every patient is individualized, and it cannot be one treatment, one plan for everyone. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prof. Kim.
I have a question to the whole speakers. As you know, the concept of the robot is very excellent and ideal. But in real environments, and robot is not popular. what is the main issues of this machine?
Many people think that the concept of robot is it's very fancy at the first time, but in paraplegic so far with current technology, the paraplegic patients can ambulate with wheelchairs and motorized wheelchairs. It's very efficient and effective. But these type of exoskeletons might be fancy, but it's not efficient and effective in real daily activities so far technology. We should compete with them. We should overcome them. After that, the robotics can be like motorized wheelchairs. About 2040, 2030, I think.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about perspective in terms of Malaysian perspective. I think robotic, like I said before, is not the questions of it should or should not be integrated in our clinical practice, but actually how. First off, we have to really boil into one question, what the objective of the robotic to be implemented in our clinical practice. Is it number one, to give the intensity or frequency in terms of our quality of therapy given? But looking at it, at this point of time, one center can only, if at most, can afford 2 robotics. And we know that every center has a very inundated numbers of patients, especially public healthcare center. Okay, in evidence, the minimum frequency and intensity of effective gait trainer, it has to be given 600 minutes, that equivalent to 2 weeks. So we have to ask ourselves, do our center have the capacity to fulfill these 600 minutes of gait training for all the patients? So number one, to actually address this question, we have to do framework. Of course, AI will come into the picture to answer which patient should be put on the robots. Even AI, of course, it should be mediated by the clinician as well. That's number one. Number two, to be integrating new interventions, not actually specialized in robot, every intervention, it needs a cost-effective and cost-benefit ratio study, which we are still lacking, to justify the robotics to be implemented. I think that's the critical issue here. So if we have that crude data, maybe we can even see that actually robotic in the long run has more cost-benefit, even though they have lower cost-effective. So you have to look into 2 perspectives, cost-benefit and cost-effective analysis. Even the conventional cost-effective analysis, we don't have the data. So how we want to really change the policymaker, even the director of hospital, to really invest in this robotic? I think there's a lot of effectiveness has been shown, but how do we replicate what's in the clinical trials towards the real world practice is another story that actually worth to be delved. I think there's a good research question to go, not only in terms of we are too focusing on, I think in Malaysian perspective, it is in Malaysia, so how we actually to supplement this robotics application is actually to delve our research into that, answering that research question. How we want to implement it in our clinical service? Should it be put at the center of rehabilitation center, or it should be put at home? Because at the end of the day, we want to decentralize rehabilitation services. We want to increase the healthcare accessibility at the vicinity of home. So robot have to replace us, as much as you say that, you know, at the point of time that actually be the goal of rehabilitation medicine, because we want everybody to have rehab at the point of time at home, but how the authority we wanted to give it. So again, it's something, again, the research question to really answer that. So, you know, to really implement robotics, it's not, we have to actually implement it in our clinical local context. That's what I want to say. We have to understand our context, and this actually needs a collective effort. It's not only the service provider, but the policy maker, the regulatory. So how we want to regulate this? As you can see, Shopee there. So what is our stand here? Do we want to really support if patients comes to you, they give you form and they ask you, can I apply this robot? It's only cost about 600 from Zakat, because if I want to wait for your therapy, outpatient, it's once in a week or even once in a 1 month. So where do we stand? Do you want to sign that? There's another thing that we have to really looking through that. But to begin with, we have to have the cost-effective and cost-benefit study. I really think it's critical because it can change everything. It can change how insurance look at it, because you know, in Malaysia, when we have the insurance company doesn't really cover us. That's the most. I mean, that's a critical issue. If we can show there's a cost benefit for robot, I do believe there is, even there's a lesser cost effective. I think we can change a lot in terms of how we want to practice our clinical rehab. Thank you.
Doctor, I wanted to ask you that question because we are in private. Patient will ask us, can I buy this from Shopee? They'll come and show you all the pictures of this robot. Can I buy the we were like, how to make decisions? Exactly. We don't even know how effective is this thing. Exactly. But some of them just purchase it. Yeah. And they come and show you
the evidence to say that it doesn't work.
Yeah. Because we are saying to them, we need the intensity, we need the frequency, we have
Correct.
2,000 times. Which does for me.
Yeah, exactly. So on an engineering perspective, how do you feel the development of, sorry. Okay, yes.
Hello everyone, I'm Afra, one of the physicians working in the government settings in Malaysia. I'm from Rehabilitation. I have a comment on what Natiara said before. As a practice clinician, I describe robotics, especially for the upper limbs, the Robotic. If, let's say, the patient is suitable, very compliant, has someone at home to put a patient on intervention, then I will support with the LACAT classification letter. Or if the patient has a medical legal or they are training for a court case, then we'll prescribe it to. Or if the patient has also benefit, then we'll prescribe it to. But I still don't see how can you help patient with the exoskeleton for the lower limbs, because it's just too expensive and only a certain center provides that facility. So if the patient has also will refer to, so if the patient can go to UiTM or they have will refer to. But most of the patients are stuck in the government UiTM hospital, which has limitations in assessing the robotics, the exoskeleton. So at this point of time, I'm still applying the manual or the it's not robotic implementation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Afra, for sharing. So Dr. Afra is a government rehab physician. So we are dealing with patients that are within a system that has a lot of limitation. So not to deprive the patients of available technology, we have ways of referring, but again, what kind of clinical evidence do we have to prescribe these equipments or promote the equipments for claim purposes? So that's again a big obstacle. So it comes to the question of engineering. With regards to the engineers of developing devices. Developing devices. I'm not putting you on the spot, Dr. Lutfi, but from your experience of formulating devices or looking to human-robot interaction with AI, how did you approach it so that the outcome of your research would be something that would be beneficial for patients that would want to claim through the system? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Faza. I think the first things, I remember 10 years ago when we brought the humanoid robots into the hospital, and one of the medical professors, they asked, will the children commit suicide when they see the robots? You see? So I think awareness that robots does not harm the patients, and robots provide, good things, and robots not trying to replace humans, and robots try to, for example, the doctor says, unit frequency, units intensity, yeah? So those are the things that actually robotic platform is trying to amplify the capacity of human doctors, nurses, therapists, because I think if you walk in the hospital, you see very young doctors, yeah? Some patients, they have doubt. Is she can really treat patients because of the physical size. So with the robotic arm and so on, so the doctor do not need all the strengths that they require to lift up the patient and so on. So actually, I think with this forum, I learned a lot also from the Koreans. Like they even have transportation hospital, where I think we as a Malaysian should learn something from the distinguished speakers from Korea, because that is a good. So maybe we can suggest, because in Malaysia we also have national artificial intelligence and robotic directions. So answering to Dr. Natera also, yeah. So yes, we have many limitations, yeah, in terms of policy and so on. But somehow the policy is there is to protect, yeah, to protect the patient's right, the doctor's right. And because if something's happened to the patients, who will be answering? Is it the developer? Is Angel Robotic will answer? Or is the hospital will answer? Or is it the doctors that serve the patient will answer? So there are many limitations, because I remember last week I engaged with one German company. We want to buy a robotic arm that can assist surgeon to for laparoscopic surgery to do the scope insertion. But the German company said they are not licensed in Malaysia, but they suggest another company that registered with the medical device in Malaysia for the approval. So I think the system is there. It is to protect, even though it's somehow slowing our pace, yeah. But we need to have like control after all, because someone needs to be responsible, right?
Thank you, Dr. Lutfi. Any other questions? Or lots of questions from Dr. Aisha?
Thank you, Dr. Faza. I have to use mic on face mask now. Okay, thank you to all speakers. So I believe that echoing to the needs of robotic rehabilitation needs in Malaysia, I echo to other clinicians, our main limitation, especially in the public sector, where we have the majority of our patients comes in for rehab. The limitation is to apply robotic rehabilitation because the issue of intensity and frequency, especially. If it's given or prescribed once a week, whether is it beneficial or not. So I would like to ask a question to our speakers, especially Professor Ra and Professor Kim and the rest. From your feasibility study and case studies, Professor Ra shared just now, you have 2 cases with 20 sessions, 70 sessions, so it's beyond 10 sessions. Is it back-to-back every day? And is it once a week or 3 times in a week? So that's, as far as I'm concerned, there's no single recipe to prescribe robotic rehab. But what is your experience? Can you give a mean duration or mean frequency that you can see some good outcomes after the robotic rehab session?
Yeah, well, thank you for a good question. Yeah, well, surely we have to do the research about the good recipe of robotic rehabilitation, about, well, amount of sessions or, well, frequency of treatments and something like that. But anyway, currently in our hospital, well, we are applying the robotic training every day, 5 times a week for inpatient. And for our patients, we usually apply 2 times or 3 times a week, or total about 20 to 30 sessions. But yeah, well, we have to do study, which is the best for the patient. But I think it depends on the patient conditions also. But anyway, well, yeah. Okay, then. Well, let's. Yeah, let's.
Yeah. Yes, Matt. There is no the exact answer, but in the previous studies, the more frequent sessions makes more effective. Is more effective, but I think as a clinical practitioner, you can do the robotic practice daily or once a week. But the important thing is robotic exoskeletal gait training is just one modality to train the patient. The patient can be trained with therapists and other gait modalities. But especially the patients who cannot walk independently with FAC functional ability category 0, 1, 2, they would be more effective with robotic gait training, because the therapist can work with patients, but in 30-minute session, the distance, gait distance is very short, about 10 to 20 meters. But with robotic therapy, the patient can walk 100 or 200 meters in 30-minute sessions. So, with the previous research about daily or 3 times a week, at least 20 sessions is effective, as we know. But in clinical as a clinical practitioner, the therapy session with robotics can be once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week. It's okay. It can be more effort to the patient compared with the general therapy as a clinical practitioner. Thank you.
We have a question from the back.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much for the interesting talk from the esteemed speakers. I'm Diana, rehab physician. So I would like to ask question to Prof. Kim. Actually, you highlighted a very interesting topic on use of robotics in geriatric populations, right? So in regards of that population, just wanted to ask for experience sharing. In view of, we know that this geriatric population has usually have multiple comorbidities, and then probably have osteoporosis, have generalized muscle stiffness, and probably restricted range of motion in multiple joints. So how do you really screen this kind of population for robotic use to prevent probably trivial fracture, etc.? Thank you.
Yes, my experience with stroke patients, they have very various comorbidity, especially total hip replacement therapy or cardiac intervention or osteoporosis. And I think almost all comorbidity is not the contraindication for the robotics, but is there any limitation of range of motion? The practitioner or therapist should be very cautious about that, so that about the body weight support and the range of motion of the robots. With the sophisticated control and prescribing the motion and body weight support, we can compete the contraindications. So there is no definite contraindications. But in the first time, when the patients can adapt to the robots, about 3 to 5 sessions, we can use the suspensions with robots and therapists. It makes sure that the patient feels safe and really prevention from incidental falls. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that goes along with what you mentioned, Dr. Dewu, with regards to design requirements. So when we talk about elderly using exoskeleton robotics, the design requirements and the protocol plays a major role in making sure that we do not cause any harm to the patients. I think we have one question here from the Adya.
Hi, thank you for sharing. I want to ask to Prof. Ra. So actually you said about children rehabilitation, isn't it? So I want to know how much is different in terms of durations, effectiveness of duration for the, how many, okay, let me rephrase. Okay, in terms of duration, effectiveness between children and also elderly. Yeah.
Compared to the elderly person?
Compared between adults and children. In terms of effectiveness, using the exoskeleton.
Yeah, well,
is that
for about that, we still have to do the research for about that, but at this point, I didn't find any difference for the, in terms of effectiveness, difference of duration, number of sessions for children and adults. But yeah, well, we have to do the research about that. But you know, well, at this point, we don't have much study about the carryover effect of reputation or so. So yeah, well, we, including all of you, have much to do to improve the robotic rehabilitation therapy.
Yes, and I think you mentioned in your slides about the chronicity, gait impairment, and the application of robotics in children with cerebral palsy and also patients with stroke. So there is a lot of research questions there that we can look into. More studies to come. Yes. So we have another question here from Dr. Mazlifa.
Thank you. I would like to ask, just now I saw there's a video on the child wearing the exoskeleton. Is there a CP, cerebral palsy patient? And my question is, how old is cerebral palsy? In your experience, how old is the child whom you already tested, who can benefit the result of using the exoskeleton? And also, Dr. Kim, also like to ask you, what is the longest chronic post-stroke that have you used in your experience? And what is the imaging outcome that you use to look at the result of changes in the brain?
From the chronic stroke?
Yeah, chronic stroke. What is the longest post-stroke that you've used and there is good result from it?
For the children, well, currently there are few studies about young children. That is because of the size of robot. So yeah, well, In the rehabilitation field, there is no robot for very small children yet. So actually, we enter robotics while doing the R&D for the robot for very small children now. So I hope we can show you as soon as possible. Yeah.
I think we have less experience on the chronic strokes. We usually apply the robots on the acute to subacute stroke patients about 3 months or 6 months from the onset. In that period, the patients with FAC 012 can walk alone with robotic or gait training. In chronic stroke patients, it depends on the patient's state. If they would be have advantage with the robotics, but we have to research about the chronic patients so far. Thank you.
Can I open this question to all the panelists as well? With regards to the purchase of exoskeleton and robotics. Say for example, UiTM is relatively a new center, and I'm sure there's a lot of centers out there that are building and trying to make sure that they buy the right equipment for the use of rehabilitation. How would you advise these young centers in terms of investing in robotics?
Our surveillance rehabilitation hospital established robot centers in Korea first, and we focused on the 3 points. One is we needed some 3 merging of the clinical and research and educations, and so is the center is covered only one aspect, is the growing and the development is not limited, and so is, and another one is to educate the therapists and medical doctors. As you know, robot is I think robot is the indications for the related medical doctors, and also we covered in our experience
the medical doctors or therapists or practitioners in medical can provide the engineers what we can assist, what we can. Of a foreign body in this costs you 10,000 ringgit overnight operations. So that's my very own experience, because I played golf and then something affected my feet, and then I have to remove foreign body in my feet, and it cost me nearly 10,000 over one night. Yeah. So I think with the rehabs, we don't know like strokes, post-strokes rehabs, so maybe 10,000 for insurance is nothing, So we really hope to be working closely between engineers and medical. Maybe we can collaborate with Korean professors and experts. So that is my comment. Thank you.
I think we're coming to the end of the forum. Shall we just pass the mic again to all the panelists to just give some closing remarks?
Oh, okay. Thank you for inviting us, and it's a very interesting and wonderful forums. And thank you. I give a big hand for distinguished speakers.
Thank you. This session has provided the opportunity for an exchange of valuable views and experiences. I would like to express my appreciation to all of you again, for you moderator, and all of the participants. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Yes, well, I'm a repetition. Anyway, I believe the power of the technologies and its advance, and I'm sure it can empower our rehabilitation service in the future. So she, yeah, well, like every other technologies, the cost will go down and the affordability will go up. So then, anyway, thank you for having me at this excellent meeting. Yeah, thank you.
The user, but we have that technology to be import to our local clinical practice, because at the end of the day, it's not only owning the robotic in clinician, but the technical part. I think is important because we want to be sustainable at the end of the day, and your presence is all.
Okay, but for me, like I said, only 2 points. I think awareness, awareness is very important, and then education, so we should educate our societies, our policymakers, our doctors, our engineers, so we should be working together in empowering rehabilitation technology with the artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So to sum up, we've talked a lot with regards to perception, and the study that Dr. Teo did was with the geriatric team showed that they perceive that they do not need the technology. But this is the fact that the knowledge is not there. So here, as what I'm echoing Dr. Lutfi, we have to start teaching and making sure that the knowledge and the need and the want is there for both the developers in research and development and also the end users. We talked about policies, we talked about regulations, we talked about the advancement, and we looked to working very closely with Korea. And we know that from the number of rehab physicians in Korea, there's 2,500 rehab physicians in Korea, as compared to us 114, 116, not as many. But we can see that even with the number of rehab physicians, the technology is still very relevant to help improve the intensity and frequency and the usage. If that is the question that was put forward by Dr. Natiara, is the technology there to help augmentate and replace the lack of human resources? Even in a country that has adequate human resources, the technology is still required and booming and developing even more so. So with that, I hope you all will return back to your places of practice with this in mind. If there is any information that you require, again, you can contact us through the information from the organizers of this forum. We are more than happy to continue answering your questions if you do decide or you do have further questions to ask. So thank you very much. Kamsahamnida. We look forward to the forum.